हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं केनिया के सबसे बड़े मीडिया ग्रुप की लीडिंग क्राइम रिपोर्टर नगीना किरोरी, जिन्होंने अरशद शरीफ के कत्ल के हवाले से मुख्तलिफ एक्सक्लूसिव स्टोरीज़ फ़ाइल की हैं। और जब से अरशद शरीफ का कत्ल हुआ, यहाँ से तकरीबन नैरोबी के सेंटर से तकरीबन 4 घंटे दूर, उस दिन से उन्होंने मुख्तलिफ यहाँ पर एक्सक्लूसिव स्टोरीज़ फ़ाइल की हैं और वो इस इन्वेस्टिगेशन को क्लोजली फॉलो कर रही हैं। हम नगीना से ये जानते हैं कि वो अरशद शरीफ के कत्ल के हवाले से यहाँ की पुलिस को वो जानती हैं, उनकी क्या व्यूज़ है। Nagina, you have been following Arshad Sharif's story very keenly and closely. What do you make of it? The local police came out with various versions, and do they add up in your mind, knowing that you have been doing different stories on the local police as well?
From my perspective, and from day one, it's always been discussed that there's quite a number of loopholes in the Arshad Sharif murder case. Number one, they say it was a case of mistaken identity. Based off of the make of the car, there are certain things that don't add up right from the get-go. Number one, the police confused a Land Cruiser V8 with the number plate registration number KDG 200M with a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van, which had the registration number KDJ 700F. So that those contradictions that came from the initial police report. The police also said that Khurram Ahmed was his brother, yet he was the brother of the host staying in the country. They also gave the contradiction of lining up a roadblock along the road, and later on it came out that they were actually just small stones that were put on the road. So you wonder how these two individuals could have been stopped by small stones laid on the road, yet there was no official roadblock. Another question is that the GSU officers are not they do not man roadblocks in Kenya. So you wonder what they were doing there in the first place, manning that particular roadblock, which is said that Arshad Sharif and his companion Khurram Ahmed were driving along. So those are the different contradictions that came out in this particular story initially when it was reported.
When you ask the police about the contradictions in their statements, what does police say about it and the local intelligence services? What do they say?
So when the police first responded, they said it was a case of mistaken identity, saying that there was a car which was stolen from Pangani area in Nairobi by a gentleman whose son was in the car, this Mercedes-Benz Sprinter. And they said that the car was found somewhere along Kiserian area, and they tried to match that with where Arshad Sharif was. But initially they said it was a case of mistaken identity, and then when it later came out that it was Arshad Sharif, the contradictions started coming in with the number plates, with the make of the car, with the initial reports contradicting the statement given by the National Police Service. So they contradicted themselves quite a bit about the mistaken identity story.
But my question is that when you ask the police these questions, that why there are so many contradictions in your statements, do they respond? Do they have anything to say about it? Or is there a silence and there is a cover-up? What do you think?
In this particular case, there's been a lot of silence from the police service, the National Police Service, because once they issued the initial statement about Arshad Sharif's murder, from then on we've not gotten any concrete statement about the contradictions in the different statements. Also, the post-mortem report done in Kenya was not made public, so we don't know exactly what the findings were, so we can compare that with the post-mortem done in Pakistan, which also found, I believe, the bullet still in Arshad's body and some different contradictions, such as it was a close-range bullet that shot him, whereas the police had initially said that they shot at the car, fired it at a distance while it was traveling. So those are the different things that they didn't really answer. They've not really given a concrete statement about those issues.
You have been covering the police for a long time. In such cases, what happens? And do you think that the police actually will, in this case, will actually come up with the truth? Do you expect the truth will come out in this case?
Well, you know, it's said in crime that there are no coincidences, so I believe the truth will come out at a certain time. I don't know if that will necessarily come from the police or from very critical witnesses like Khurram Ahmed. But what I am very sure about is that the investigations done by the DCI officers from Pakistan will perhaps yield more light about what happened, but I don't think we should expect anytime soon that investigations will reveal what really happened, because I think we need to depend a lot on what critical witnesses, like I said, Khurram Ahmed is going to say in his official statement, because we've only gotten what the police said, he said. So it's a case of he said, she said, instead of an official statement from Khurram Ahmed. So I mean, we hope that we will get those answers soon, but it also depends on how fast the independent organizations and the independent investigative agencies actually move in trying to understand what happened on the night of Arshad Sharif's murder.
The original version that it was a case of mistaken identity, this came from Khurram Ahmed, this came from the Kenyan police, and this came from Pakistan's High Commissioner here. They had probably tallied their statements. But then the police changed their statement and they said that Arshad Sharif, bullets were fired from within Arshad Sharif. How do you see this collapse in the initial version of all of them? And do you think that they tallied their statements with each other?
Yes, I definitely think a joint statement was agreed on initially because, like I said, in the initial report that the police gave, not the statement, the initial report, they all said the same thing. They all said that they were traveling in this car, it was sprayed with bullets, and it was believed it was a case of mistaken identity. So even the Pakistani High Commissioner said it herself. But when we pressed her father about whether he was running away from some issues in Pakistan, she denied it, and she said he was not running away from political persecution, that he was merely in Kenya on a tourist visa enjoying himself. So there was definitely a tallied statement, and I remember when we pressed her, she said that they don't want to mess up the diplomatic relations at the time. So they're trying to bring everything together so that it looks like it was just a case of mistaken identity and there was not necessarily malice involved. But I think the fact that they're contradicting statements coming out says that there's something much deeper that happened on the night of the murder of Arshad Sharif.
Thank you so much. Excellent.